have started a weekly vlog. I say weekly vlog. It was Tuesday when I started. It is now Wednesday, so it's kind of a weekly vlog. I'll probably vlog for about a week, but I thought I'd show you some bits and bobs that I've been up to and what I kind of get up to in an average week. It was half term, so my partner was off, but I unfortunately had quite a bad flare up and all of my joints and bones felt like the bone marrow was forcing itself out my bone. It was not very pleasant, and then because of that my fatigue was a bit rubbish because I couldn't sleep, and it wasn't the best time, but we tried to make the most of that situation. And this weekend I went to go and see my mum and we had a lovely time, and I grabbed some yarn because I got some crochet projects I thought I'd show you and some ideas that I'm doing with that, because I'm finding that really relaxing. If I'm not reading my Kindle before I go to bed, I'm crocheting, because I find doing something quite relaxing like that seems to kind of at least stop my whirling brain from whirling even further. So making some more time for joy and thus crochet. So the first thing I've been working on is little headbands. I want to do some cute little headbands for when I'm not wearing hats. I could wear a little headband with, say, green yarn covering it, and then some daisies and some florals and stuff. I think that would be quite a nice little pop of quirky accessories, which I do enjoy doing. I'm also working on some little crochet garments as well. I did a crochet waistcoat either end of last year or beginning of this year, so I want to keep doing that. I've been working on some granny squares for that, so all the colours that I've chosen are kind of both clashy and wonderful at the same time. I finished these at mum's, and then I'm doing more of these. I'm going to do the blue one as well. I'm going to turn that into kind of like a top, and then maybe either with some checkerboard or with some tassels or something like that, and turning that into a top that I can wear over the top of long roll neck tops, which I really enjoy wearing. And then I was working on this scarf, then I had this brainwave of turning this into a top, because now I feel like I'm getting more confident with my crochet. I want to start doing more garments because I really find their quirky, and to make something and to wear something that I've made similar to when I do jewellery and things, I find it a lot kind of confidence boosting, and feeling like I freaking did that and stuff. So I wanted to do that as well. So those are the crochet things that I've done. So I thought I'd show you some yarn that I picked up. I was very kindly gifted some pennies for my birthday from an auntie, and I thought I would use that towards a hobby endeavour rather than work. And my mum fully encouraged this because she says I'm way too hard on myself and I need a better work-life balance. So we went there, and my mum hates hobbycraft. We normally call it my creche, because if I can go anywhere for hours and hours, it would be hobbycraft. And my mother is not a crafty person in that sense, so she struggles, mainly because I think I traumatised her. Sat looking at pencils for about 2 hours, and she thought they're all green. What's the difference? And I'm thinking there is a massive difference. However, we did some damage, and I thought I'd show you the colours that I picked up. I have one project that I haven't started yet that I have in my mind, and I'll probably include a rough sketch that I did on Procreate to kind of consolidate those ideas, and I'm really excited to make that. But that'll be my reward to make that when I finished all these kind of half projects, because I know what I'm like. I'll start all these projects and never finish them. If I finish those projects, my reward will then be to start this one, which I'm super excited about. I got a dark brown because I'm thinking with the botanical kind of headbands that I want to make, this will be perfect. I got a navy because I thought, I didn't know whether to get a dark brown or a navy, but I thought both would be quite good as darker colours within a design. This would go with more the purples and blues, whereas the brown would be really good for botanical pieces. And then this purple just looked really cute. It kind of almost matches my top today. It reminds me of a amethyst heather sort of colour, and it'll always be useful to have colours like this, because I find I reach for these quite a lot. I wear a lot of purples as well, a lot of purple earrings to match with this, so it'll encourage me to continue to make things like that. I then bought 2 of the limited edition colours. It was a really sweet, sort of really warm lilac colour, but it was limited edition, so immediately I thought, next time I go it won't be in stock, so I must get it now. And then the most neon pink in the world. I love pink, and I think I got the neon sort of fluorescent, even although that makes this look almost pastel, orangey colour. I actually got that colour from a charity shop. It's called Pickle Chops, and it's really cute. So I thought these would be great accent colours for either leaves or flowers and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, Pickle Chops immediately sucked me in. It's an adorable name, so we did that. And these will be good. They're also, these are really, really soft as well. So, and then they had 3 for 2 on the Women's Institute ones. And again, these were the ones that I initially started grabbing because I thought they'd go with the project that I wanted. There's almost like this denim blue sort of colour, almost slightly purple. And I think this will be like the base colour of what I want to do. Like I said, I think I'm going to show the design that I kind of drafted of what I want to do with this. So that would be like the base colour. I then got another pink. This is more like a softer sort of rose pink, which I thought would be lovely. They go really nicely together. They're kind of the same tone. And then I was very impressed. As I said, my mother's not the craftiest person. She does crafts, but she's not as confident. So what she said, using this instead of white would go really well because it's more muted. And I was like, Mother, that's amazing. So I did that. And those were 3 for 2. Lots of makes I want to do this week. I just finished these Johannes Vermeer Girl with the Pearl Earring this morning when I couldn't sleep. I even started playing with like mica powder with this. So it's like really shiny and pretty. Ooh. So I thought Girl with the Pearl Earring with pearlescent sort of studs would work very well. I want to continue. I started like a new collection. So I have these collections that I continually do. And the newest one is Delft. Probably saw these on my Instagram. And these are like the Hobbies. But I'm going to work on a few more of those. I've got some bookmarks I want to work on. I need to list those as well. So I've got some things I can do if I don't feel very well and I can do from bed. So like listing, editing, things like that. I've got a gynecology appointment in a couple of weeks, actually middle of next month, to discuss the next step. They think I have endometriosis on my nerves, like my pelvic nerves, which explains the inability to pee, the pain, and so on. So in order to discuss that, it might be an operation to either excise the endo from my nerves, but that can carry some risk with nerve damage, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. But then the other option is the Prostap injection, which is like chemical menopause, and then I need to go on HRT, but I'm allergic to estrogen. So there's a lot going on in my head, whirling around and stressing me out, and lots of things are kind of being brought up, and I'm just struggling with all of that. Sometimes I just get completely overwhelmed. So in order to not give myself that time to think and get too overwhelmed, I distract myself, but then I'm not processing those difficult emotions. So I need to kind of find that balance, really. I'm just rambling on to you, and this is a weekly vlog, and I think that can be somewhat depressing. So I'm going to go and start doing some artsy stuff and show you that, and moving on to some more joyful things. But I found that quite cathartic to talk about. So thank you for listening, regardless. One thing I'm really trying to get better at is finding time to do the hobby side of art as well, because I've always loved painting, and I find that the professional side of art sometimes takes away that enjoyment and fun. And for me, I'm a massive perfectionist, so if I do something, say in a sketchbook, that's wrong and it can't be content or something that I can use in the shop, I end up getting cross at myself, and I feel like the perfectionist really gets to me. And it sounds daft, but a sketchbook is also about improving your skills. So when I do things that I'm saying aren't to my standard that I'm happy with, it helps me learn what I would prefer. So I'm trying to learn to not just rip out the page in my sketchbook and actually use that as a tool to then hopefully improve, but also using it as a log for my art journey. And when I learnt these certain tools and aspects, I think that's really lovely. Kind of like a scrapbook of your skills, which I think it sounds daft. I've only just realised that when it comes to sketchbooking, but I am really, really enjoying it. I'm also trying to learn to listen to my body more as well. So when I'm feeling a bit tired but still feel like I have some mental energy, I will sit in bed and do the tasks that I can do on my iPad, like Etsy listings or doing some video editing or drawing on my iPad. But then sometimes it just gets a bit too much and I do need a nap. And I think the hardest part is kind of not letting you feel guilty for that. It's just the nature of having chronic illnesses. One of my favourite ways to make time for the hobby side of art is absolutely starting the day when I'm having my coffee with either sketchbooking or journaling. And I'm finding making that time to really intentionally do things just for the joy of it, especially when I'm trying to wake up. I find I'm not having to think about the guilt because I'm too tired to, and I'm trying to wait for the caffeine to kick in, as it were. So I'm really enjoying doing that as a way to kind of, I start the day with something purely for enjoyment, and I'm finding that exceptionally useful. Not only as an artist professionally honing in on her skills, but also as an artist who just likes to play with colour and paint and different art materials and really kind of get into that sort of spirit of joy that art gives me. I often overthink and really worry about sketchbooking because I feel like, in a way, that's harder for me than painting on paper because it's a bound book. If something goes wrong, tearing it up will ruin the book. But in the morning, when I'm still kind of half asleep, I find that that isn't my main thought process with that. I'm just doing it for joy, and I nearly always find that it starts my day off with an element of positivity, that if something did for whatever reason go wrong, like for example, I didn't like the pink in these flowers in the end, so I decided to change the colours, but because I had that time to reflect and not just almost rashly ripping it out of the book in anger, I came to a calmer solution on how I want the piece to look, and I turned the flowers to be like bronze to go with the colour of the chimney, and actually I'm really pleased with the end result with that. One of my little ongoing projects is to start developing hair accessories. So I really want to start making little bows, and I'm not entirely sure how they are going to do because I've not done hair accessories before, but I've been learning along the way on how to kind of make them really secure and embedding them into the grip sort of format. And I thought to start off with, I'd do some little bows because the gingham is something that I really enjoy, and I find that if, say, for example, they weren't necessarily a shop item, I would quite happily wear them myself and they wouldn't go to waste in that respect. I started off with the yellow pair because I wanted to make a yellow item specifically for Endometriosis Awareness Month, and I did a post about that because it's very significant in my life. And then I thought, well, you know what, I've done the yellow ones, I'm going to have to do all the other colours now, aren't I? And you know what I'm like, a bit of a completionist, that's just what I did. Just having a very potsy day as well, I think. I put some compression socks on. I'm quite dizzy. My heart is absolutely racing. I think I might have overdone it a bit. But I thought I would sort out my hair after having a shower and putting some moisturiser on my face because my eczema is really bad at the minute. My mind going today feels very muddled. So hopefully, as the compression socks and stuff help, I should be able to get some blood back in my brain because I feel like my brain fog's not great today. I keep making mistakes that are very easy to kind of not make. I'm using a serum. I've been recommended this Aveeno Calm and Restore range. Like OT things are quite good for eczema, and I've got some really bad eczema patches on my skin at the minute, and it's just so like dehydrated, so I'm hoping that that should help just really hold that moisture in, because it just constantly feels so tight and sore, especially around my eye area and around my mouth. That can sometimes be because I'm run down, but I don't know. My hands are also so dry. Just put some hand cream on as well, because I can't seem to hold the moisture there either. Yeah, not really having a great day today. I went really tired yesterday. I started doing some work in bed and just like overwhelmed with fatigue, so I thought I'd have a nap if I could, and I napped actually longer than I thought I would, which helped for sure. And I actually slept okay last night, which is quite rare when I've had a nap. I tend to struggle then to get to sleep at night, but I was so tired. I like read a bit of my audiobook and I actually finished it. I really enjoyed it actually. It's called All the Murmuring Bones. It's kind of like somewhat fantasy mermaidy, but very much like historical family inheritance, that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed it. It hadn't been massively rated highly among people that I know have also read it, but I quite enjoyed it. That is the night cream that I'm using at the minute. I'm tending to just use something really, really hydrating. So even though it's a night cream, I'm finding it really like calms my skin down a bit. And then over the top of that, just to really like lock in that moisture, I've been using the balm as well, because I feel like if I use like a serum, it makes the moisturiser work better. I put the moisturiser on, but then sometimes my skin still feels really dry, so I've put that over the bits that I really, really struggle, so like my eyes and around my mouth. That just seems to make things a bit more comfortable. I did try a cream a few months ago that I really liked, rebought it because I thought I really enjoyed it. Simple repairing cream. I liked it so much, I actually recommended it to my mum, who's also got like quite dry skin. And they've changed the formula. It really, really stung. And at that point I'd had such bad like cracked eyelids that I yelped. It was so painful. So I've not been using that because it's just been really irritating my skin. So I grabbed these when I was with my mum this weekend, just to see if that helps. And so far it's like a hug for my skin. And nothing stung at all, which I was trying to find like a combination that would sting minimally, but it was still kind of quite a lot of discomfort, and it wouldn't last like the hydration, but that should last for a bit now. While I was having my shower to make use of the time, I popped some bows that I was making, you've probably seen, in the oven, and then get back into some work when my partner's finished his lunch break and we've had our chat. And rambling on, you check my heart rate, it's absolutely going wild, and I might have a big drink and something salty, see if that helps. But I'll take you on to the rest of my day. It's going to be a bit slower because I'm not feeling great, but I will get some stuff done that I can, or not, nap or something. I ended up being too tired and too symptomatic to actually do anything productive in the sense of business-wise, so I pretty much just journaled the rest of the day, trying to write down my symptoms just as a little log, so if I did need to go to the doctors, I had that in mind. And then it was a new day. This is little Gwen having a little munch on some cucumber that I gave them in the morning. I had a bit of a lie-in because I thought it was very much needed after being so tired, and I certainly felt the benefit. I then started to work more on that Delft collection that I wanted to do a bit more that week, but didn't get around to doing because, again, I wasn't particularly well. So I started to do the interlocks, which are probably some of my favourite earrings that I made. I started working on them a couple of years ago, really trying to kind of refine and work on that skill. I love them to look super seamless, and they do take a bit of a knack and a lot of baking, but they are so worth it. I think they're such a statement pair of earrings, and I think they look really cool and quirky. So this is the Delft collection, kind of inspired by the Dutch sort of pottery. And I mean, being in Stoke-on-Trent as well, the potteries, I think it's quite nice to have that aspect as well within this collection, because we have like Wedgwood, which is also blue and white, so I thought it was just a perfect sort of collection to do currently, and I'm really enjoying doing it. I've not done a like royal blue sort of collection yet, and I think it'll be really good to do. I think I'm going to use the findings as silver, so it's really cool toned, because a lot of the other designs I've got are gold based, and I think I'm due another silver based finding collection, so I was working on those as well, and I think they look really, really interesting. There's definitely normally a statement piece on the stud part, so I thought it was quite interesting to have the lower portion of this interlock to be the statement, and just gives a bit of variation within the collections, and I'm really pleased with how they turned out. They're really intricate, but they are so lovely they're so worth all the effort that actually goes into them. I was a little bit nervous because I had a social services appointment that day, so when that happens I tend to get the calmest of the pigs out and have a little cuddle, and as you can see, she's just a little angel. Lottie Pig, she is a little chocolate button and she's so sweet. So I just sat there with her, and she's probably the calm, really quiet, gentle guinea pig that we have. And Gwenny's like pure chaos. So normally I'll get Gwenny out if I need a bit of a pick-me-up, a bit of a cheer up. And she tends to really lift my mood. She's very snuggly as well. Whereas Lottie's just that sweet, gentle little soul. And she's very sweet. Look at that little face. My occupational therapist ended up running a little bit late, so I started to get a little bit more anxious. So nothing like having a little guinea pig cuddle in the interim to really just calm and settle those emotions, which I definitely found very useful. And turns out my occupational therapist had had guinea pigs before as well, so they became quite popular in that appointment, and she was absolutely fantastic. She really, really helped. I was kind of forgotten a little bit in the system because I'm not in any sort of desperate need, so she really made me feel like whether you're in desperate need or not, you still are allowed to have the sort of support that you need and to not feel like you're getting in the way and whatnot. So she was absolutely fantastic. So in order to celebrate that really successful appointment and the fact that I didn't have a massive panic attack before or after, thank you, Lottie Pig, I went on Sims that evening. Again, trying to not feel guilty for having hobbies that aren't art-based. And I've always loved Sims from a very young age. I loved to build the houses and stuff. I wasn't as fond of like playing the game. I liked pretending to be an architect, and still believe I am somewhat of an architect, I'm not going to lie. But I really thought about trying to make sure that I make time for hobbies that aren't just art-based as well. And this is somewhat creative as well, so I do really enjoy that sort of creative release, and I do like games. I thought I'd record a little bit of a process that I'm making. I'm doing a base game build on like 3 little houses within one house, like a trio, all with specific colour schemes per house. So one's going to be like a grey, one of them's going to be like a creamy white ivory, and the other one's going to be like a dark chocolatey brown, somewhat bordering on black as well. So it's kind of like a gradient feel, and found playing Sims that evening was just what the soul needed. I'm not going to lie, my Saturday was very, very boring, and I ended up taking myself to bed a little bit earlier. My partner was just on his game in the living room, so I thought I'd read my Kindle and try to really settle. I've been quite anxious this week for a lot of different reasons. Any sort of appointments talking about disability and how my disability affects me, I always feel like I have to really prove that I'm unwell, and I get a lot of sort of anxiety around past experiences where doctors didn't believe me and just, told me to get some therapy, calm down, and I'm sure you'll be fine. And then you're in hospital with a nasty infection and get told you have a heart murmur, and why didn't this get seen sooner? And it's like, because the doctors didn't believe me. You almost get judged for waiting so long, but you can only get diagnosed when the doctors actually think that there's a problem to need to be discovered, and a lot of doctors just see a young woman and think, oh, she'll be fine. 6 years later, I have collected 6 chronic health conditions, which should have been diagnosed a hell of a lot sooner than they were. I don't know, I think I get a lot of anxiety around that. And I know I'm very lucky that, the occupational therapist was fantastic, and I do have some fantastic doctors behind me, but I've also had some awful experiences. It's just one of those. So I think having a day resting was what I needed, that after the social services appointment and having bits and bobs doing that week that were very sort of health heavy. I think I just needed to kind of process it all, and having a Kindle session was also a very nice way to settle myself and get into bed. And settle myself into a nice peaceful sleep if possible, but if not, it means I've added to my reading goal, and that's a perk, I guess. Reading is still a great distraction and really does calm me down enough to kind of take my mind elsewhere from what I've got to do the next day, keep the worrying and spiralling at bay so I can actually, hopefully, rest. I was very excited when I awoke on a Sunday morning because I had an order and it was going across the pond. So the customer ordered a pair of picnic basket earrings, and I thought I'd make a reel because I am useless when it comes to making reels, and I should probably get a lot better and start making more of them. But I don't know, I find them a lot harder than making more like the long form videos. I'm not sure why. I think because I'm rambly, I get my point across more in more words. So in videos with just music, I don't know, I tend to struggle a little bit more with that. But they came out really, really beautifully. I'm so chuffed with them, and they're probably actually have arrived now, so that's pretty cool. And then after that we went to go post it, and we thought, you know what, let's go for an impromptu drive. The weather was actually nice, spring was emerging. We were near a castle where not too far from where we live, so we went for a little drive and found a little viewing point, got out the car. And do you want to hear some beautiful spring ASMR? Although, caution if you need to pee, I might actually use this for when I'm struggling to pee, not gonna lie. I was also pretty darn proud of myself. I don't always get the time or energy to cook from scratch, but I really wanted to have a go at one of my favourite recipes that my mum makes me, and it's the kachari, and it was so tasty, and I tried to make it as kind of accessible for me to make as possible to limit standing time and thus symptoms. Unfortunately, that didn't really work out because I ended up having quite a nasty night that night. I woke up with really awful, it was almost like restless knees, not even restless legs. And I was in a lot of pain, a lot of cramping. I think it could have been down to standing cooking a little bit. I did try to sit down as much as possible, but I don't know, it's just one of those things where your body doesn't tell you you've done too much until it's in agony. But I did try and use my time wisely and did a bit of painting for the soul. Again, I do find it immensely cathartic and therapeutic when I'm in a lot of pain to just paint the feelings, paint as a distraction from the pain, but also get to do something I really love. And I am working on this still life piece and I'm loving doing it. I don't know, when I have a project like this on the go, I feel complete. I feel like that there's something that's just settled in my life. I've got a few art projects that I really want to do. I've got a slightly darker themed one that I might discuss first, but it's more of a personal one to me regarding things like psychosis and stuff. But I think it'd be a really powerful one to do. And I'm also thinking of doing things on like other interests that I have. Like obviously I've got my mason jar project, but I'm also thinking of doing somewhat of a subtle Shakespeare project because I love Shakespeare as well. So we'll see how that goes. But then I think the one thing that helps more than anything is Piggy cuddles. So we got little Lottie Button out and she's just having little head rubs and she's such a sweetheart. And I found that when I rub her head, she kind of lifts her head up almost like more please, more, and it's so cute. And we can't forget about my little sassy chaotic one, and she's getting lovely little head rubs. I just would like to apologise for the quality of this camera. I was actually supposed to film it on the other side, but I wanted to make sure I could see it. It was just some footage I was going to send to my family to show them what the guinea pigs are doing, but I thought it was too cute not to share on the vlog, so I apologise for its grainy appearance, but look at that little sniffy nose. It's so cute. You have to see it. So yesterday I definitely made the most of the energy that I had. So I managed to sleep relatively well. I think it took me a bit to get to sleep, but stayed asleep, I think, almost solidly, which was perfect for what I had to do for the day. I woke up and had an order that I had to make, which was lovely. It was a pair of picnic baskets, which are always a favourite. And my partner and I drove just somewhere I hadn't been before, but my partner promised a lovely view of like around the Peak District, which is near where we live. So that was lovely. It's just something about the sun hitting your face. It's just so, it sounds cliche, but it just does really, really help, especially when we've had such a bleak and dismal winter. Having that little bit of almost a burst of spring was so lovely for the soul. I don't often get to cook the things that I really enjoy to cook just because energy prevents it, but not long we went to see my mum. I think I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog, and she makes the best kachari ever, and I really wanted to have a go at making it myself, and try and use what I've learned and like adaptations and stuff to make it a bit easier. And it was tricky. I was absolutely exhausted afterwards. My poor knees from standing up for that long kept shaking last night when I was trying to get to sleep. I think that's what woke me up at 2 o'clock this morning, so that's why I was up very early in the morning. But because I've crashed now and having limited energy, I don't know how I'm going to be tomorrow. Normally the day after is quite my sorest day. I get in the most pain, so I thought it'd be easier to end this vlog now. I'm now going to spend this week hopefully getting some more rest. I think almost subconsciously, because I've been filming, I've been more kind of, I want to actually fill my days with stuff that's interesting and varied. But yeah, I think I'm going to spend the rest of the day just trying to get some rest. I've got my Kindle nearby, I've got some crochet if I feel so inclined to do something, but I'm probably just going to have a massive nap because I am absolutely exhausted. But thank you so much for tuning into this weekly vlog. I really do appreciate it. If you did like this video or like me, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here and join me on all of my arty endeavours. I am hoping to do a bit of upcycling soon, so I'll be filming that. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's been nice to have an element of company. I really hope you all have magical weeks. Please stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.